meg handa di, venn, når det kvelder. Det blir mørkt og vi treng ei hand. La deg
گیرم که خدا مردی باشد و من زنی. اگر عاشقش شوم چگونه در آغوشش بگیرم؟ کجا ببوسمش؟ چگونه دست در دستش بپیچم؟ بازوان او ابر است یا صخره و ساقدوش ما کدام پیامبر اولوالعزم خواهد بود؟ چه سقفی کدام دیوار عشق من را در پناه میگیرد؟ بسترمان در خونریز کدام شفق پهن می شود؟ و راستی کودک ما شکل کدام سرزمین جنگ زده خواهد بود؟
Om jeg antar at Gud en mann, og jeg en kvinne, hva skjer om jeg forelsker meg i ham? Hvordan skal jeg omfavne ham? Hvor skal jeg kysse ham? Hvordan skal jeg flette min hånd i hans? Overarmene hans skyer eller fjell? Og vår forlover, hvilken befalende profet blir det? Hvilken himling, hvilken vegg gir kjærligheten vår ly? Og sengeleiet vårt, i hvilken blødende solnedgang vil det bli bredd ut? Og barnet vårt, forresten, hvilket krigsherjet land vil det ligne på? Jeg lurer på om det flere som skal være med her, tror du det? Velkommen til denne forfatterpresentasjonen i regi av Den kulturelle skolesekken. Nå kommer det en hel gjeng, og dere må også komme og sette dere her foran. Presentasjon i regi av Den kulturelle skolesekken. Jeg vet at noen av dere er litt uforberedt, og det beklager jeg. Det har vært noe kommunikasjonssvikt i forhold til mellom Den kulturelle skolesekken og skolen. Det Asiye Amini fra Iran, som forfatter, poet, journalist og menneskerettighetsforkjemper, som skal fortelle noen historier for dere fra Iran, og lese noen av diktene sine. Navnet mitt Eva Maria Aagaard, og jeg medformidler og assistenten til Asiye. Asiye snakker persisk, engelsk og skjønner litt norsk, snakker litt norsk. Men hun leser diktene sine på persisk, og jeg leser dem på norsk. Nå har vi startet med, før vi begynte, å dirigere noen av dere hvor dere skal sitte. Og det egentlig litt sånn inngripen i det som vi kaller personlig frihet, og som vi tar som en selvfølge i Norge. På en av de andre skolene vi var, så gjennomførte vi kjønnsdelt plassering i klasserommet. Da plasserte vi alle guttene foran, og så måtte jentene sitte bakerst. Men vi gjør ikke det her da, fordi at salen så stor, så det passer liksom ikke så godt å gjøre det. Men vi har lyst til å utfordre dere litt på det der med personlig frihet som vi tar som en selvfølge i Norge. I Iran så det mange regler som griper inn i barn, ungdom og voksnes personlige frihet. Kanskje du vil fortelle litt, hvis vi var i Iran nå, og det her var en gjeng med 16-åringer i Iran, would they look like this in Iran?
Yeah. No, of course. Maybe you choose, you prefer sitting there in back, and you have to sit here. I'm so sorry for that, but it's just like a game, a practice. Because as Eva Maria said, in another school in Trøndelag, we suggested to people to sit separate of together, two gender, like my country. But in my country, not only they sit in two sides, sometimes in this year the government decide that university should be separate of two genders, and it's too bad because I think they want to influence also in sciences in universities, because some girls cannot choose some sciences in university, and some boys also. I'm so sorry if you have to choose this, you have to sit here, but it's like just practice.
Dere kan jo forestille dere hvis Fosen videregående her i Botnegård, den var for gutta, og så måtte alle jentene dra tilbake til den gamle skolen på Brekstad på Ørlandet, fordi at gutter og jenter skulle ikke gå på skole sammen. En annen ting, mye av disse reglene rammer jo jentene særlig. En annen ting som er forbudt i Iran, det er sminke. Hvor mange av dere har sminke på i dag?
Alle sikkert.
Det er ganske mange.
Spør jeg hvor mye av noe?
Nei, vi spør ikke om det i Norge, for i Norge er det ikke noe regulering på det med sminke. Men hvis du går på skole, hvis du går på universitetet på Iran og er jente, så må du gjennom en sminkekontroll.
Yeah, of course, a lot of students in student movement in Iran are campaigning against this decision of government, and that's important, I think. Yeah, it means you could choose it, sitting there, but that's just true.
Og så er det påbudt med skaut for å skjule håret sitt for jenter. På gater, på skoler, på alle offentlige steder. Så jenter bruker skaut når de er på gata, men hva når de kommer hjem?
Nei, ikke hjem. A lot of people in their private places don't have hijab, shawl or scarf, but in the street and public places they have to do.
Hvis dere går inn på nettet og skriver inn women of Iran, you get a lot of photos of different, very creative ways to handle this. Nå snakker jeg engelsk.
Yeah, I have a photo here from my home in Tehran. Yeah, you can continue.
Her ser det hjemme hos ingen sjal.
This is my normal life in Tehran, like everywhere around the world. This is my daughter's birthday in my home. Yeah. But let me start talking with you about myself. My home, my life, my country. I was born in a very small city in North Iran, a green city like your city, between mountain and sea, and very warm people like you. And I had 3 sisters. The oldest is Shemis, and she writes sometimes short stories. The second is a writer and poet for children, and also a researcher for children's literature. The third is Asiye, in front of you, and the youngest is an engineer. And as I told, in my family, some other people write something, and I grew up in this family with cultural issues, and we used to write many things. Maybe it was a reason for me that after studied mathematics in high school, I prefer change it to journalism and social communication in university.
Er det noen av dere som skriver selv? Skriver tekster, skriver sangtekster eller dikt eller små fortellinger. Som er interessert i skriving. Ja.
One person there.
Ja, så
Yeah.
another one. Ja.
Yeah. Skriver du dikt eller novel eller kort historie?
Nei, det var bare tull. Men det var
Okay.
en litt lenge. Ja. Hva sa du? Så du skriver ikke noen tekster selv? Men du da, med brillene foran deg, hva skriver du? Sangtekster?
Yeah. Great. And also, after some years working as a journalist in Tehran, capital city in Tehran, very big city with 17 million people in days and around 14 million people a night, because a lot of people came just for work and come back to their cities. And I didn't know many things about our law. Maybe you know, my country, like your country, had a king for many years, 30 years ago, 33 years ago. From thousands years we had kings. But 33 years ago, the people decided to change the regime to a republic regime. But they could not, because after this revolution, an Islamic group could arrange many things and keep powerful until now, because they killed many politics people and damaged many politics group, parties, and everything that wanted to stand against this regime. Until now, maybe you heard or you read some articles in media about a dictatorship in Iran. But it is not just our story. We had a long civilization and culture, poetry and literature in my country, and the people don't like it, this fundamentalism in their country. And after so many years that I worked as a journalist, I didn't know about some punishment in our law, some punishment which came from Sharia law. And I just knew about it when I heard about a news about a very young girl who was 16 years. I can show her face. I just read a news about this girl after her execution. I didn't believe that's why a very young 16 years old girl can be executed. Why? I followed up this case and I knew a lot about this law. Let me show to you.
Asiye viser deg noe bilde av en ung jente på 16 som heter ATF, og vi skal fortelle litt om ATF. Hun ble henrettet da hun var 16 år.
This is her face. Atif grew up in a very poor family. Her mother died when she was 5 years. And her father is homeless and used to use some drugs, and her brother also. She lived with her grandparents, 2 old people, more than 90. It means they could not keep her Atefe. And her aunt told me that when she was around 10, a person in their neighborhood, raped her and gave her some money to be silent. And after that, he did it again and again and again, and Atefe used to learn this job. And after 16, a judge sentenced her to death penalty because in law, we had a law that if a person has been arrested and sentenced to 100 lashing for third time can be execution. Justice. And her judge killed himself. But of course, in my research, I knew that it was not third time. And really, I don't know why did he want to kill her. Let me...
Can I say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course.
Det vanskelig for oss som bor I Norge å forstå dette her. I hvert fall synes jeg det ganske vanskelig å forstå at dette som vi kaller for moralpolitiet ute I gatene og passer på hvordan ungdom og barn oppfører seg. Og ATF, hun hadde jo så dårlig oppvekst hjemme. Det var så lite støtte. Moren hennes var død, faren hennes var ikke til stede. Hun skulle passe på besteforeldrene fra hun var ganske liten. Og de klarte heller ikke å ta seg ordentlig av henne. Og så blir hun da voldtatt av en mann I nabolaget når hun 9-10 år. Og hun var nok mye ute på gata, og moralpolitiet var veldig oppmerksom på henne. Og da hun var 13 år, så gjorde hun noe som ulovlig ut fra moralpolitiets syn, og det at hun satt I en bil sammen med fetteren sin. Og han var gutt, og hun var jente. Det ulovlig for gutt og jente å være sammen. Så blir hun arrestert. Hun 13 år. Og straffen for å være alene med en gutt, det å bli pisket. 100 slag. Og det var første gangen hun ble arrestert, og hun var 13 år. Og da var moralpolitiet veldig ute etter henne. De var oppmerksom på henne, de passet på henne. Og når hun da inngår et forhold til en mann I 50-årene som utnytter henne seksuelt, så blir hun arrestert flere ganger. Det hun som blir arrestert, som om det hun som gjør noe galt. Og hun blir pisket 100 ganger, flere ganger. Og som Asiye sier, når dette har skjedd 3 ganger, så kan man etter denne loven bli dømt til døden. Og det var det som skjedde med ATF, men det skjedde allerede 3. gangen hun ble arrestert. Og det var altså dommeren selv som var den som var med på selve henrettelsen. Og det også helt usedvanlig. Det var han som festet repet rundt halsen hennes. Så Asiye oppdaget denne historien til ATF etter henrettelsen, og har skrevet dette diktet til ATF.
پایین‌تر از دهان ابر بالاتر از ابروی باد تاب می‌خورد پیراهنی سیاه که طنابی به آسمانش گره می‌زند کف می‌زنند مردم و هورا می‌کشند ماسورا ماسورا زوزه می کشد ماده گرگ جوان و نمایش تمام می شود.
Nedenfor skyens munn, ovenfor vindens øyenbryn, blafrer en svart kjole som festet til himmelen med et rep. Folk klapper og roper hurra, Masura, Masura! Den unge hundulven uler, og forestillingen slutt. So the meeting of us, Atefas historie, it really changed your life.
Yes, of course. After Atifa, I was feeling, when I wanted to write about Atifa, I could not finish it because every time that I wanted to start it, I cried and cried and cried because I could not believe how can they kill a child like Atifa. And after that, I could not be released of this story because every time I was thinking about how many people, how many children are in jail with this sentence, with this charge, and how we can do something for them. And after Atifa was another person, a very young lady in other prison. When I heard about her name was Leila. When I heard about Leila, it was 4 a.m. I took a bus and went to her city. And one day later, I could find her judge. I interviewed with her for a magazine, and finally I could meet her in prison. That was the first case that I could meet her, and I could listen to her story. After that, we made a campaign to help Layla, and many activists, not only inside Iran, around the world helped me. Some lawyers, some human rights activists helped me for helping to Layla. And Layla, after some months just, Layla became a very famous prisoner. And just listen to her story. When Layla was just 8 years, her mother sold her to a 65 man. 65 years old man. And can you have this image? Just a very baby, a very child. And after some years, her family sold her again and again and again until 19. And in 19 years, when she was 19 years old, they arrested her and sentenced to death penalty. After this campaign, we could help to Layla to be released, and her second judge was a good man and promised me to send her in Tehran's jail, because we could contact with her easier than in Tehran. And after her prison, we could support her with getting help from many people. And we could support her in an NGO. Do you know about NGOs?
Vet dere hva en NGO er? Det er altså en engelsk forkortelse for Non-Governmental Organization.
Ja.
Og det er veldedige organisasjoner, for eksempel Leger uten grenser, eller Kirkens Nødhjelp, eller Norsk Folkehjelp. Det er et typisk eksempel på sånne NGO-er.
Ja, for eksempel Amnesty's NGO. Ja. And Human Rights Watch or other organization. And after Layla's releasing, many media wrote about it, even in Norway. Yeah, I can show to you some pictures that some journalists in Norway came to. Yeah, she's Layla.
Dette er altså Layla og Asiye etter at Layla har blitt kommet ut av fengselet, takket være den kampanjen som Asiye satte i gang.
And there are two journalists from Norway who came to Iran and interviewed with me and Layla that time.
How is Layla now?
Layla is learning many things in this NGO, and she has a babysitter because she could not do anything. She could not learn when she was a child, and not only good dialogue, not a normal life, no, nothing. And now she needs to learn too much thing, and her babysitter help her, and this NGO also.
Ja. Så langsomt så får Layla hjelp til å komme tilbake til et normalt liv. Så hun må lære alt helt fra grunnen av hvordan man er sammen med mennesker på en alminnelig måte.
Yeah, and I have another picture from Layla with her babysitter, a very good lady. Layla.
Her.
Yeah. And 41. میخزیم تو روی برگ سبز توت، من سینه خیز بر سنگلاخ رویاهای منجمد. میتنیم تو فخر را بر تن فردا، من یأس را بر میله های هنوز. انفرادی تو بوی ابریشم میدهد، انفرادی من بوی شاش. میروی تو پروانه میشوی روزی، من اعدام.
Vi kryper, du over det grønne morbærbladet, jeg på magen over en ørken av forsteinede drømmer. Vi spinner, du stolthet på morgendagens kropp, jeg håpløshet på ennåets stengsler. Din enecelle lukter av silke, min lukter urin. Vi drar. Du blir til en sommerfugl en dag. Jeg blir hengt.
Yeah, you know, sometimes I think if I didn't have literature with me, poetry with me, maybe I could not continue many things. My first book in Iran, that's published in Iran in 2004, was full of happiness and hopeful, many lovely poetry. But you can hear now me that my poetry is full of human rights issues, because I could not separate between these two issues. My life, my poetry is my life, and I think that's important that I have it, and I'm very happy that I continue this job in Norway, very far from my country, my home. I said before that you cannot understanding, I could not understanding what's the home until I had to leave it, and that's very important. And some years after that I start campaigning against execution in Iran for children and women. I found some people in prison who were sentenced to stoning. I didn't believe it because all the time the government and judiciary in Iran said that we don't have stoning in our country. It's not for our culture and people don't do it. And after some years I knew that yes, the people don't do it, but the government does it. The judiciary does it. Because in the court some people can be sentenced to this punishment. I had to follow up these cases in prisons, and unfortunately I knew somebody in this punishment. باران سنگ که آغاز می شود، باران سنگ که آغاز می شود، پیش از آن که از من کوه سنگی بسازد، از دل تو صخره‌ای ساخته است. گیرم که من گناهکار، گیرم که من خیانتکار، گیرم که من در خور مجازات، تو که از دلت سنگ می سازی و پرتاب می کنی. تو آیا با عصمت مریم شبها به خواب می روی؟
Han som kaster stein. Når steinene begynner å hagle, blir hjertet ditt til en fjellvegg. Jeg blir til et berg av stein. La meg anta at jeg er en synder. La meg anta at jeg er en forræder. La meg anta at jeg fortjener straff. Å, du som skaper stein av ditt hjerte og kaster dem, sovner du med Marias uskyld om natten?
And after some years, I learned many things from my friends, other human rights activists in Iran, because in that time I was not just a journalist who could write just something. I wanted to change some issues, and it was not a job for journalists, maybe you know. And we started a campaign against stoning. Stop Stoning Forever campaign was its name. And we could find some people around the Irans, and we could help them. We could get some lawyer for them, defend of them in media, and many places, many media have written about them. Of course, not inside Iran, because it was forbidden to writing about something about Sharia law or judiciary or regime. But online journals help us to publish these stories. And after some years, they arrested me and some other activists. And after this period, prison, they plumbed my office and blah, 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 limitation for my life and many things. And after presidential election in 2009, the people, a lot of people protested against the regime because of the result of that election. And I was one of them, but they told and they published in the media that they are activists, they arranged this protest, and they arrested a lot of activists, human rights activists, journalists, lawyers, and political activists. And I prefer apply to be a guest writer in a network. The network's name is ICORN. ICORN is a network that is supporting by International PEN and also EU. And a lot of communes around the world are in this network, and fortunately Trondheim Kommune is one of them. And
Asiya, this has been such an interesting presentation. I'm thoroughly amazed at what you've gone through and what you do. I'm a little bit personally interested in I guess you have to go back in your thought factor of what it was like when you were placed in prison. I cannot personally fathom that. So if you could somehow express the fear, the feeling, or how you came to develop your thought factor to start this process.
Yeah. Of course, I should say that usually I don't like to tell something about my prison and that period, not because of that was too bad for me, no, but because of enduring these years after revolution in Iran, more than 33 years, we had a lot of political prisoners in jail, and now maybe a lot of journalists, human rights activists, political prison, political people are in jail, and I cannot say about the short time that I was there in prison when a lot of people are in jail. Yes. But prison is prison for all people. Right. It's not a
it's confinement regardless.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I have some poetry, some poems about that period, and after that, because my prison was not very long, but just some days. Right. But after that, when they ask you about some investigation, and that maybe is too bad. Right. More than prison sometimes. Yeah.
Your education as far as journalism is concerned,
Yeah.
where did you go through that learning process in Iran? Or
Yes,
you did?
yeah. Of course, it's there is a very good university for journalism, studying journalism and social communication. Tehran University, Allama University, that I studied there. And yes, and Azad University also have a lot of universities about journalism.
But when you do train or become educated and eventually become a journalist, it is interesting to see that people go in and get involved. They say what they speak because you're part of the media, and to bring out what's going on, and then you become imprisoned because of your opinion. You know, it's kind of a double-sided.
Yeah, that's complicated.
Yes, it is
Answering to
complicated.
this question, because if now you go to Iran
Right.
and talk with people, every places can answer to you with freedom, and they will tell you about a bad regime, a dictatorship, call them.
Right.
For example, Mr. Ayatollah Khamenei, Ahmadinejad, blah, 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 mullahs, the
Right.
others, but you cannot write about them in your newspaper.
Oh, you can't
Yeah.
write. You
Yeah.
can talk.
Every people say it in not only in their home, but also in buses, taxis, public places. They talk about them very free, but you cannot. The freedom of expression is about media.
So, okay, now through all this experience, how did you come to decide to come to the country of Norway?
Yeah, that honestly, it was not just my decision.
Okay.
Because in this network, in ICON, is a network for writers who cannot continue their job in their country.
Right.
When you applied for that, some commune in the cities in this
Right.
network
Okay.
invite you
Okay.
and accept you.
Okay.
And Trondheim commune in that time accepted me, and I came to Norway. Yeah.
And you like it in Trøndelag?
Yeah, I love it.
You love it in Trøndelag?
Yes.
How do you like the weather?
Yeah, the weather is not good, but I think, maybe I have been very busy, too busy this year.
Right.
In these 2.5 years, more than, maybe. I was very busy. I have worked seriously. And when I work, I'm happy.
Right.
And satisfied is because of my job and my
Right.
work. And I think, and most important thing is about my daughter. She's very happy in Trondheim.
Oh, good.
Yes, she has a lot of good friends
Good.
here and is very happy.
Now, did she go and learn Norwegian or?
Oh, she speaks like in Trøndersk.
Trøndersk? I love it.
Yes, she speaks Trøndersk, and sometimes, she edits us, I and my husband, every time.
Okay.
Nei, ikke u.
Oh.
Yes, but maybe just I'm concerned for my husband.
Right.
Because he's a photojournalist.
Oh,
and
okay.
he
So you're
was-
both journalists.
Yes, we both are journalists, and his work in Iran was very important, and he worked with an USA's photo agency, and
Okay.
also with Iranian magazines and
Okay.
newspapers in Iran. And here in Trondheim, we are far from all news and
Absolutely.
actions for taking photo, and that's too difficult for him.
But you are continuing your journalism adventure here in Norway, actually,
Yes,
or in
yes.
Scandinavia.
Yeah, of course, I think now new technology like internet, online
Right.
journalism,
Right.
online journals can help us to be a journalist in abroad. Yes, I'm doing it. I'm writing something, and also I'm working in my new book.
Okay.
That's a documentary book, and
Okay.
also I published 2 books. I explained about it during presentation.
Right. I heard that.
Yeah.
But now, are you capable in any way, shape, or form? Say that the people that are here in Scandinavia from that area of the world, whether it's Iran or around about there, do you have the availability to say, talk with them, get their experiences about living here and express it back to Iran? Or to the people in the Middle East to say this is a great country? Are you able to do that, or are you in a process of sanctioning so you can't do that?
Of course, I cannot come back to my country now.
You can never go back?
No, until this regime.
Okay.
Until this regime,
Okay.
I cannot come back to my country. The same as a lot of Iranian people who had to leave our country. I think the Middle East is very special situation now.
It is very special. Right?
Syria, Iran, and
very true.
Yeah, and I cannot say anything about future.
No, but as long as your future for yourself and your family here in Scandinavia is an upward climb and going forward, and you can utilize your education, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So there is a future here.
Yeah, of course, I think many things, it depends to 2 things. One is the regime in Iran, and the other is my daughter's situation and my family is here. For example, my daughter is studying Norwegian, and this schools, she cannot continue Persian and in Iran maybe.
Right.
Maybe it depends to my family's situation, but in future. But I think it's just a dream, and we can guess about future.
You
but,
have
but
to
we
have
cannot-
dreams
yeah.
to make reality.
For example, 5 years ago, I could not believe that I will live in Norway.
Right.
North around the world. No, I could not believe and could not dream it. And now I cannot have a dream about future, but I'm sure that decision, it depends to many things, and we can do it
Absolutely.
at the moment. Yeah.
You know, it might be very interesting. I don't know if you deal with the media a lot here, but you know, there are many, many newspapers, and the Scandinavian people are probably the most read people in the world, you know, very knowledgeable and very educated. And I think it's fascinating to probably get someone from another country or environment or so forth so on that can express, because it's become a multicultural country.
Yeah, of course. I know it, and I'm so happy to have a lot of friends here from around the world, not only Norwegian. And also, I think it's very important to pay attention to this deal, because this earth is not too big.
No,
We
it
should
isn't.
know about together more.
We need to work
Yes,
together, all of
yes,
us.
Yes, of course. And when I was, of course, when I was in Iran, I have written some articles for Needed, a Norwegian magazine from Iran. I sent it to some people here, and one friend translated it for that magazine and published it. And now I'm here, and yes, of course I can do it.
I think it's fabulous. You're a
Thank
very, very interesting
Thank
lady.
you so much.
And it has truly been a
Thank you.
pleasure and an honor to meet
Thank
you.
you.
I'm going to have to
Thank you
read
so
your
much.
books, though. That I'm
Thank you
gonna,
so
but
much. Me too.
can the public read you? I mean, can they buy it at the bookstores, or do
Yeah,
they
of
have to
course,
order? They
yeah.
can order it
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
net also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely
Thank you so
delightful.
much.
You are such a nice lady.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. And som vi sier, du vet aldri hvem vi skal prate med.